So welcome to Breathing Calm into the Chaos. If you haven't worked with me before, my name is Belle and I have been teaching breath work to thousands of women over the course of many years now, but more officially in the last couple of years. And it is just my great pleasure to be able to share some secrets to help you to just feel more calm in your body. And when I say to calm the chaos, it can really mean the mental chaos, it can be the physical chaos, it can be your internal soul kind of chaos as well. So whatever realm you're coming from, for whatever reason you happen to be watching this today, I just want you to know that breath work can be so much or so little. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to teach you the tools and hopefully you'll be able to apply it to whatever aspect of your being that is important to you. Now, what I did promise is that I would teach you the 3 most important steps when it comes to breath work. So I'll get into that. And I'll also teach you the fastest way to calm the farm. So if before we get started, I just want to say, always have a tissue handy when we're doing breath work. Sneezing, sniffling, needing to clear your throat, coughing, that's all super normal. I always have water handy as well. I love it that I'm showing you my water bottle. So make sure you've got water and a tissue handy. We want to wet the whistle, as my dad always says. And before, because this is quite a practical session, before I get into it, let me just go through contraindications. That is a fancy medical speak word for when you should not do breath work. So as a general rule, if you have any chronic lung disease, sometimes with different breathwork practices, although tonight will be fine, if you have asthma, sometimes you can't do some of the more rigorous, intense breath work. If you have COPD, I'm going to ask that you speak with your healthcare provider before you attempt anything that I'm teaching you tonight. If you don't know what COPD is, that means you don't have it, okay? So if you do have COPD, best to speak with your doctor first. What else? If you have epilepsy, speak with your healthcare practitioner first. If you are pregnant, now, breathing is important when you're pregnant, but there are different things that we might be doing, such as breath retention, that is not considered as safe as possible when you're pregnant. However, deep, long, slow breaths, calming your body and mind in pregnancy is absolutely indicated. So here's what I would say. Usually the first 12 weeks, apply caution, maybe just learn theoretical knowledge, and then you can practice in 2nd and 3rd trimesters, and particularly when you're in the 4th trimester, which is post-birth. Okay, so I want you to be thinking about that, using your breath work practice to help calm you at all stages of pregnancy, but just theoretical for the 1st trimester. Also, if you have uncontrolled high blood pressure, we just want to be getting you breathing through your nose. That's the only breath work that I want you to do. So you can do breath work, but I don't want you to be doing any of the vigorous breath work or any breath retentions. You want to be making sure you're getting long, slow, even breaths. Really important to get your blood pressure down. And I'll explain that a little bit more in more capacity as I go. So we've gone through pregnancy, epilepsy, lung disease. If you've just had abdominal surgery in the last 6 weeks, please make sure you speak to your healthcare provider before you attempt breath work. The reason being, we do a lot of belly breathing. So same if you've had a hernia, or you've got a hernia, I should say. I'm just going to close the door. I want you to be very careful about how you're belly breathing. Now, the best medicine that we can offer ourselves is more oxygenation into our body and a calmness so that our body can move into a state to heal. So if all you do is just breathe gently through the nose, then that is going to be enough for you to move your body into a calmer state. It will take a lot of practice though to get you really calm if you're quite upregulated. So, just practice. So that's your contraindications. Anyone else, if you feel dizzy, I want you to stop. I want you to pull back. Although there are different breathwork practices that we actually do to help bring on that dizzy feeling. I actually love that dizzy feeling when I'm laying down, not when I'm driving, not when I'm sitting up, not when I'm operating heavy machinery. because I'm doing that all the time. So I just want you to be thinking in terms of, does this feel comfortable for me? Is the breathwork practice that I'm doing helping me to feel more calm, or does it make me feel anxious and irritated? And that can actually happen when you're not moving into the phase of that breath well, when there's some obstacles. And so that's where you need to be with a breathwork practitioner to actually help move you through some of those stages. Breathwork of all different types is supposed to affect change in the body. And so if you're noticing you're getting more stressed, more anxious, more irritated, yes, that's a change because things are changing, but it actually is going in the wrong direction. So that's where you want to seek out someone who knows what they're doing and can help move you through that. So I did promise you the 3 most important steps when it comes to breath work. Are you ready? It's not what you think. If you've worked with me before, you know I always throw a curveball. The 3 most important steps are: practice when you're calm, practice regularly, and recognize when your body changes, like you're either calm or stressed. Okay, so I'm not giving you the actual breathing steps. I'll get into that. But why I'm mentioning that is, if you're really stressed out and I'll just give you an example. A lot of people come to me and they say, Belle, I just need to learn how to meditate because I'm really stressed out. And I say to them, okay, well, we're not going to learn to meditate today because it's going to make you even worse. And it's the same with breath work, because breath work is a form of meditation, even though I find it's much more accessible and it's easier to actually do than pure meditation, because you're doing something with your body, you're doing something with your mind. Sometimes you've got your hands on your heart or your chest, so you're active. Things are happening. It's allowing the mind to calm down. If you practice when you're calm, it means that you're building the muscle of learning how to focus and learning how to bring your mind under your authority and control. So when you are really stressed out, when you've had a massive week, even just a massive day, and you just feel a bit frazzled, when you actually have been practicing for a while, then it's much easier to apply those techniques. And I'll teach you some today. So if you were going to learn to swim, there's no way I would take you out 100 kilometers offshore, dump you into open seas in the middle of a raging storm and say, okay, now, so what we do, bubble, bubble, bubble breath, right? This is how we freestyle. There's no way I would teach you that, right? Why? Because it's all about survival. So rather than thinking to yourself, I'm really stressed, I need to learn how to do meditation or breath work, I'm going to do it right now, I want you to think, okay, I want to speak to someone who can help me to put some steps into place to down-regulate my nervous system, and then I will go into technique. So we always learn to swim in calm water. We always learn to breathe and meditate in a calm environment. So if you don't have a calm environment happening now, then I'd like you to find a place. So if you're watching this on record, find a place that you can go. You can go and sit in your car. You're not going to operate it, but you can go sit in your car if you need to. You can go for a walk somewhere and sit in a park and listen to headphones and do it there. I often do breath work on the beach. I think it's just beautiful. It's loud with the wind and the waves, and people walking past. No one cares what you're doing. And so find a place where you can just be in your own kind of bubble, because that is going to teach your body to calm down. I want you to be practicing regularly. It's funny, people say to me, okay, I'm going to start to do meditation and breath work. And I am using these terms interchangeably, although they are very different practices, but they both lead to the same place. And they say to me, oh, I'm going to start meditating and I'm going to do 20 minutes twice a day, every day. And I just go, that's not going to work, because you're going to do it for 3 days and then you're going to have no time, or your brain's not going to switch off and you're going to get very frustrated. It's very similar to if you decided you wanted to go and start CrossFitting. You would go to a CrossFit gym and you would say on the first day, hi, haven't lifted anything over 5 kilos ever, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start doing muscle ups straight away. Now, muscle ups are a really hard skill. Yeah. There's no way you would learn that on the first day or even attempt to learn it on the first day. You have to learn technique. You have to get your muscles working. You have to have mobility. It's the same thing with this kind of practice. You're not going to be able to do some of the breaths that I might even show you tonight straight off the bat. It might cause you to be frustrated. It might cause you to to feel like you're a failure. That is not the point. The point is, some people listening to this will already have practiced some of these techniques before, and we're going to stretch them a little bit. For other people, they may not even have any idea that they're breathing in what's called a paradoxical breathing pattern. I'll get into that in a second. So it's all about meeting yourself where you're at and going slowly and not expecting to be a world champion Olympic breather in the very first attempt, because that is just unrealistic expectations. And you know what? In fact, if that is your expectation, that you're going to do this every single day for 20 minutes, we might want to check what your expectations are in general, that is causing you to feel so upregulated and stressed. You're putting a lot of pressure on yourself. So my advice to anyone, 3 minutes every day. And I will, look, I'm going to demonstrate phone usage as well. So I actually put a timer on my phone just for 3 minutes. And if I've been in a very upregulated state, if I haven't been practicing regularly, if I have been unwell, I remember back during lockdown, I was practicing and then I got sick and then I didn't practice for a while. So then what I did, I just did this 3-minute thing again. And I do 3 minutes a day. And if it feels good on a particular day, I just press repeat and I'll do another 3 minutes and then another 3 minutes. And then as long until I want to stop. But I don't force myself to do anything more than 3 minutes and get comfortable with that. For me, that is easy and achievable. For you, it might be 2 minutes. 1 minute is not really enough, but try it and see. But I want you to be thinking in terms of, what can I do that's super easy, that's going to form a practice? And we say we practice this because we don't perfect it ever. We just go deeper. So when we're using breath work, it's actually a portal or a pathway to knowing yourself better. It's to letting go of expectations. It's to removing false beliefs. And it's just understanding yourself in such a better way. Yes, it's all possible, but you can't do it on the first session. This will just be the first door opening, right? And then it's just about showing up for yourself day after day after day, because you can take your breath anywhere. You can actually excuse yourself at work and go outside and sit in the beautiful sunshine, and you can just calmly breathe in a manner that I'm going to teach you for 3 minutes. Then your alarm will go off and then you just can go back to work. You can do this at your desk. No one needs to know. You can have headphones in, you can be working at your desk, and you can just be focusing on nose breathing. In fact, why don't we do that now? Why don't we just start by focusing on nose breathing while I'm talking? Just notice which nostril is more dominant. That's all I want you to focus on at the moment. And as you're breathing, you may actually notice that your nose is actually stuffy and you didn't realize. You might notice that it feels a bit congested. You might notice that you actually don't have much going on in one nostril at all, and you didn't even know. You might be a mouth breather. It's not meant to be a sledge, but in breathwork circles, it's like, breathwork, mouth breather, right? So we try not to do too much mouth breathing in daily life, because it's actually going to make you more tired. It actually affects the shape of your mouth. And when you're mouth breathing, you tend to be in more of a stressed state. Now, of course, I'm mouth breathing at the moment because I'm teaching, but as a general rule, I try to keep my lips together as much as possible. And you'll even find some breathwork teachers that tape their lips at night. I do that sometimes. And it's really great for getting better quality sleep, because you're getting more oxygen and you're breathing in and out just through your nose. Now, I want to tell you why that's so important. It's because it actually helps to increase nitric oxide. That is a gas that it is produced and it pools in the sinus cavity. When that produces more and more through nose breathing, and nitric oxide is produced, and then you take a deeper breath in. So do that with me now, deeper breath in. And it goes down, that nitric oxide goes down into the lungs. It actually helps to open your airways. And it also, once it goes into the bloodstream, it actually helps to open your blood vessels. And it's that opening of your blood vessels that actually helps to lower your blood pressure. So physiologically, it is in our best interest to nose breathe as much as possible. And then we can consciously, whenever we think of it, just kind of do a deeper inhale. and a longer exhale. So there's your first technique. Okay. So it doesn't matter what you're doing. You could be washing your hands, you could be chopping vegetables, you could be working on something, and you could just be nose breathing consciously, slowly, and then every now and then take a deeper inhale, and that'll take that nitric oxide down into the lungs. Okay. So I'm going off track, and I've got all of my notes written out so I don't go off track. So I'm going to go back to the beginning. There are many, many ways to manipulate your breath. And the fastest way to calm the farm is to manipulate your breath. And I often say to people, we want to manipulate our breath so that our brain doesn't manipulate us, because there's a really big connection between how we breathe and how we think. You know, when you're breathing very calmly and slowly, you know, we want to aim for around 6 breaths a minute. The average person is breathing heaps more than that, 12 to 18 times a minute. So we want to really, through practice and time and teaching our body to slow down, we want to get our breathing rate really, really slow. And when we're doing that, we're able to retain the breath. That means that you can hold on the in breath. It means that you can hold on the out breath. Now, it depends on the week, but I prefer sometimes to retain the in breath. It feels more comfortable to me. And the out breath can sometimes feel a lot harder, but that's the one that I'll practice a little bit more. So that's something that you can play around with. Does it feel good to retain the breath? How long can you retain it for? We're going to do that now, but we're going to do it as a practice. So get your mobile phone handy, because, or a stopwatch on your phone, on your watch. And we're just going to find your timer. So when you're ready, I want you to get your timer, and all we're going to do is a couple regular breaths, and then you are going to breathe out and then pinch your nostrils, and you're going to press start on your timer. All that you're going to do is wait to the first sign to breathe. You don't want to be holding your breath and pushing, okay? We're just going to breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, pinch, and you're just going to hold the breath. Now, remember, if you've got any of those contraindications I mentioned at the beginning, this is not advised to retain the breath. So sit this one out. But if you are healthy and you've got no other extenuating circumstances going on in your health, then you can absolutely do this. What this does, it gives you a baseline, and it helps you to have something to work towards. So we're going to do that now. So make sure you've got your timer ready, or I'm just going to call out when I get to about 20 seconds. I'll call out every 5 seconds. All right. So deep breath in, deep breath out, deep breath in, all the way out, and press start and pinch your nose. Hold the breath, waiting for that first urge to breathe. That's 15 seconds, 20, 25, 30. Just resume normal breathing when you come back. And most of you will probably be done now. That's 40 seconds. So I'm just going to stop the clock. Feel free to put in the chat what number you got, so I can have a little chat and speak to you. Let me tell you what we're looking for. We're looking for around 20 to 25. Anything under 15 tells me that there's some work to be done. Anything under 10 tells me one of two things. Either you're quite anxious and you may have a history of asthma, or you just were not trusting the process. So I would suggest, if you got under 10, retest now that you know what's happening. And the reason I share that is because when I first did this test, I wasn't trusting the process. I was a stress head from way back. That's why I do all these practices. And also history of asthma. And from a very young age, I was 5 when I was diagnosed, and I was highly allergic to everything. Perfumes still get me. If I'm on a train and there's people with perfumes and aftershave, I'm a mess. Everyone thinks I've got COVID. So I stay away from most of that now. I hardly use my puffer, a couple times a year at the most. And I do put that down to the fact that, first of all, I take out a lot of allergens out of my diet and my personal care, but also it's me learning how to manipulate my breath that has really helped, and trusting that I can hold my breath. That was a big deal for me when I first started breath work. I found it very suffocating to hold my breath. Now, if you are over 25 in your count, that is a good indication that you've got very good control of the breath. Anything over 30 tells me that you may have done this practice before. And so we want to aim for that between 20 to 25 range for the majority of people. And then as you get more and more comfortable, a lot of people who practice pranayama, which is yogic breath work, they will get well over 30, 35 into the 40s. And that's just no urge to breathe, no fear comes up. It's just, you can just sit there, it's comfortable and it's easy. So that's kind of what we're looking towards. It's a goal. You might get there in 3 weeks, you might get there never. So it's just something that we're just going to look at. So if you want to have a baseline practice every few days, just see where you're at. And it does change based on lifestyle, sleep, food, alcohol, and what have you. Okay, so that's your first practice. The next thing, so we talked about retention. There's a few different ways of doing that. And now I want to talk about depth of breath. So when we're breathing, if you're breathing quite sharp and shallow, it's actually a stress response. So we want to make sure that we're not breathing into the upper chest. So your depth of breath can be breathing into the count of 4. It could be breathing into the count of 6. Whatever you breathe into, you need to breathe out for twice that amount. So if you breathe in for 4, I want you to be aiming to breathe out for 8. If you breathe in for 6, it's out for 12. So you'll be pushing it. But that's a more advanced technique. So I want you to be thinking about that depth of breath. In order to get the depth of breath, we move into the next part, which is the position of your breath. So we're not breathing into the upper chest anymore. We're breathing down into the belly, the upper part of the belly. So place your hand on your belly and make sure your hand is not over your belly button. So it's above the belly button. And it's in that little soft part of the belly that's under your rib cage. And so if you place your hand on your belly, it'll be on the soft part, and then your ribs will be on either side. Then you're in the perfect spot. So as you breathe in, I want you to be pushing your belly out towards me. Your rib cage will come outwards as well, but your upper chest won't move. We're looking for no movement in the upper chest, and that can be really, really tricky. So what I want to do is just a little bit of breath work practice now. So get comfortable, sit up tall, or you might want to lay down for this one. So you can lay down on the floor or on your bed, wherever you happen to be, but I want you to have your knees bent, your feet on the floor, and have your knees touching. So your legs are making this shape, an upside down V. We call it in yoga baby giraffe pose, all right? The reason I want your knees bent and your knees touching and feet out to the side is because it will actually relax the pelvis a little bit, because I want your belly muscles to be soft. I want them to be moving in and out and be nice and calm. The reason for this is we spend most of our days upper chest breathing from a stress response, and tightening the belly muscles. You know, I haven't met one person ever who says, oh no, I never suck in when I walk past a mirror. Most people suck in, right? And so we want to move out of that feeling of tightness, because it's actually sending a nerve response back to our cranium that's actually telling us to stay on alert. I'll get to that in a second, because I want to go into some of the anatomy of what we're doing and why. But for now, I want you just to be practicing with your hand on your belly. As you breathe in, belly will expand outwards. Your lower rib cage will expand outwards as well. Now, are you breathing through your nose, or did you forget? So go back to breathing through your nose. And as you breathe in, your belly expands outwards slightly. And as you breathe out, belly comes back. So you might have to even press into your belly gently to get your belly to draw back in. You might not even have that awareness yet. If you're laying on the floor or on, like if you're laying down on any surface, it's actually easier to let the belly rise and then just let the belly fall back. So sitting up in a chair is a harder practice. If you're not quite getting it, I encourage you to lay down and try it. It's particularly helpful if you're laying in bed before you go to sleep. It's a really great way of calming the body. And I'm going to tell you why in a second. So breathing in, belly rise, breathing out, belly fall back. We're going to do that for about a minute, just trying to find that movement. Now, if you've already done this before, if this is easy for you, consider it just to be, this is your practice stage. You're just reminding your body. So let your shoulders be relaxed. Let your throat be relaxed. Let your facial muscles be relaxed. Let your arms be relaxed, okay? So if you're more advanced and you know how to belly breathe, check in with the rest of your body. But for those of you who've never done belly breathing before, this is your opportunity just to focus on letting the belly rise and expand and then fall back. No movement in the chest. I'm going to keep saying it. No movement in the chest. It's really difficult if you're used to taking a breath like this, right? So we don't want to do that. We just want nice and calm so nothing will move. Taking full breaths, but you can't see it moving, okay? This could take a while, so that's okay if you've still got some movement, but if your shoulders are moving, you don't need shoulders to breathe. So you can actually help to keep them down. You can even place your hands on your shoulders as I breathe in, and if you find everything rises, start again. Breathe in, belly expands, belly moves. That's all that's moving, because what's happening is you're creating that space in the center of your body. Just like this, breathing in and out. Good. Let's do that for about a minute. Breathe in through the nose, breathe out through the nose. Belly expands as you breathe in, belly comes back as you breathe out. Good. Keep going. We'll slow it down a little bit, just allowing that movement. So your rib cage is moving outwards, it's creating space, and it's coming back in. Your belly's expanding, creating space, and then coming back in. We're halfway there. I'm going to slow it down even more now. Breathing in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe out 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Breathe in 4, 2, 1. Breathe out 4, 2, 1. Last one. In for 4, 2, 1. And breathe out for 4. Good. Resume normal breathing. Just relax. Did you notice how much you were tensing up as you were doing that? That's an indication that there's something for you to work on, right? So this whole belly breathing experience should be very relaxing, very calming. If you're kind of holding yourself up, it's the beginning stages. You're still in that rough water. So we want to move you back into calm waters. So what can you do to relax the shoulders, relax the chest, let everything kind of settle down? So I want you to be thinking about that. Okay, there's a breathing technique that's very, very commonly taught. It's called box breathing. So we're going to do that now. Pay attention to your breathing through your nose, your belly's coming out, your belly's coming back in. And then I want you to, in your mind, imagine that as you breathe in, it's one side of a box. Then you hold the breath for 4. That's the top of the box. And then you breathe out for 4. That's the other side of the box. And then you hold the breath. Okay. So it's an even breath. So we're not extending the exhale yet. We'll get to that in the next practice. But in this practice, this is about getting your mind to focus, getting your body to move the way you want it to do, getting yourself comfortable breathing through the nose. Box breathing is a very, very simple technique, but it can take a lot to master if your nervous system is really upregulated. So go gently. If you lose track, that's okay. Just start again. And just know that you're only one full breath away from being more calm than when you start. So just allow the process to unfold. We'll do 4 rounds of this. So you're just going to imagine in your mind's eye drawing a box up and around. I'll count you in, getting ready, breathing through the nose, breathing in for 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold. 3, 2, 1, and out. 2, 1, and hold. 2, 1, and in. 2, 1, and hold. 2, 1, and out. 2, 1, and hold. 2, 1, and in. And hold. And out. And hold. And in. And hold. And out. And hold. Just resume normal breathing now. Just notice how that felt. Were you straining at all? Were you feeling like that was too quick? Did you feel like you were getting dizzy? Did you notice sensations in the body? All of it is up for grabs. We just want to be thinking, observing what's going on. Feel free to pop into the chat if there was anything that came up for you, or if you have a question about box breathing. But that's definitely a technique that can be used very regularly, just to help you to really bring yourself back into that one place of focus. So if you were to practice that every day, just for a minute, let's say, that would actually be training your mind to come under your control. So that's definitely one that you can teach children as well, because it's getting you involved from multiple areas. There's another one that's a triangle technique I'm going to teach you now. This one's a little harder. And the reason it's a little harder is because we're retaining the breath for a lot longer time, and we're exhaling for a really long time as well. And so before I teach you this one, I want to explain why we're doing both, while we're retaining and also while we're doing a long exhale. The beauty of our body, the way it was designed, is when we breathe in, we get some oxygen in there. It's not 100%, but we get some oxygen in there. And the longer it takes for us to breathe out, the longer time our body has to take the air into the bloodstream, take the oxygen, and then it'll be transported through the body. So if we're doing very long out breaths, it's actually maximizing each breath that we're taking. Therefore, we don't feel like we need to breathe more, because we're actually satisfying our oxygen needs, because we're taking our time. So this breath that we're doing is called the 4, 7, 8 breath. So you can imagine a triangle, and you breathe in for 4, breathe out for 7, and hold for 8. No, I'm going to say that again. Breathe in for 4, hold for 7, and breathe out for 8. And so in this way, we're taking a full expansive breath. You're going to breathe into the belly, and then you're just going to hold it for 7 seconds. That's giving our body time to do what it knows how to do, to take the oxygen. And then as we begin to blow off carbon dioxide, that's when even more oxygen gets to go into the tissues of the body. It's quite incredible. So, you know, when you have a good old belly laugh, and you're nearly gasping, right? Because you're breathing out for such a long time. Breath. Right? I teach laughter therapy. So the reason why a good old belly laugh works is because you're taking a breath, and then you're blowing off so much carbon dioxide, it's actually sending more oxygen to the tissues, mainly into the brain, which then helps to relax the body. That's why we feel so good after a belly laugh. That's why laughter is, after all, the best medicine, right? So there's some method in this particular technique. If you find that you are doing very short, shallow breaths, if you find that you've got no mental clarity, if you feel like you just need a bit of an energetic pick-me-up, this 4, 7, 8 breath could be really powerful for you to do. So we're going to practice that now. We'll do it 3 times, and let's see how you go. So preparing now to breathe in, and breathing in for 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and out. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and in. 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, 4, and hold. And out. Resume normal breathing. So let me know in the chat, which one did you like better? The box breathing, the 4-4-4-4, or the 4-7-8? It's always interesting to know which people are enjoying better. So while you're doing that, I want to explain some of the anatomy and physiology of what is happening in your body with your nervous system. Ultimately, the reason why you are upregulated. Oh, okay. It's all of you enjoyed the 4-7-8 better. Anyone want to tell me why? I think I'm really curious. Tell me why you like that one better. Our nervous system governs everything. It is my belief that our nervous system is the most underrated part of our body. We're always looking at cardiovascular system, our immune system. But what I love that one of the commenters was that not so much to think about. And then I'm guessing the next comment is like ditto to that. There's not a lot to think about when you're 4-7-8 breathing. You're in concentration land, and you're actually allowing the body to take on more oxygen into the tissues. So I feel like it's a really great practice to use for helping to calm your nervous system. When you are in an unconscious state of upregulation, when you've got your phone binging at you, when you've got your watch binging at you, when you've got emails, when you've got children, when you've got animals, when you've got partners, when you've got road raging people around you, when you've got the news telling you all of the nasty things that are happening in the world, when you have a weird, thing with someone on the street, all of it can just become really too much if we're not knowing how to literally blow it off. And so breathing in a regulated, manipulated way can actually help to reset your nervous system, because our belly is actually providing a bit of pressure onto one of the main nerves that comes from the brain. So we've got 12 cranial nerves. The only one that leaves the cranium from the brainstem and goes down into the body is called the vagus nerve. And that vagus nerve sits there amongst your organs, and it plays a role in communicating back to the brain, all is well, we can chill out, we can digest our food, or it plays a role in we need to be on alert, there's a bear chasing us, we need to fight the bear or run away from the bear, right? There's not just fight or flight, but there's fawn and freeze. And I won't get into fawn too much, but freeze is a modern state. That's where everything just locks in. You literally freeze. You can't think properly, you can't move to varying degrees. So if we can learn how to manipulate our breathing to teach our body to move back into a state of relative ease and calm every single day, over and over and over, then we're actually going to be strengthening our nervous system to be more resilient in times of high stress. Stress isn't the enemy, it's how we process it, it's how we perceive it to be. And so our body was set up in a way that we've got this internal feedback happening, and we can leverage that. So a really easy way to leverage it is through humming. So our next breathing practice we're going to do is the humming breath. So I would just want you to close your lips, breathe in, and hum it out. Notice where you feel that. Is it just in the face, in the lips? Is it in the tongue? Is it in the jaw? Is it in the throat? Is it in the chest? Do it again. Breathe in. Can you feel it through the center of your body? Are you belly breathing? Breathe in through the belly, into the belly. Breathe in nice and deeply. Nothing moves in the chest. Expand the belly. Breathing out, belly draws back as you hum. Feel the vibration down into your chest. Keep going. Notice how long the breath is. We're getting back to that idea of we're blowing off carbon dioxide. We're giving our body more time to take in the oxygen into the tissues. Okay, so this humming breath, you probably need to get over the fact that if you're around other people and you start humming, that can be weird. So when I teach breathwork classes, I just say, just forget the weirdness. It doesn't matter if you make a sound. Us Westerners, we're always a bit worried about making sounds around other people, but the humming breath is one of the best ways to calm the farm quickly. In fact, when I teach yoga in person, I will often teach a humming breath to a class, because I know it will help bring them out of their busy. I've been at work all day, I've been managing kids and family and bills and whatever, and it brings them straight into their body. So we're going to do 7 breaths together. I want you to take your fingers and I just want you to press onto that little flappy bit of your ear so that it becomes very loud in your head. And we're going to do 7 breaths. Take as long as you need. Breathe in and hum it out down into your belly. One more. Keep your eyes closed if they're not already. Close them. Feel the body. Notice, can you feel the vibration, that reverberation? Can you feel a tingling or a pulsating through the body? I wasn't even practicing properly. I was just kind of demonstrating. I can feel that sensation. Now, if you're not feeling too much, that's okay. My body does this. It knows what to do. I've been doing it for such a long time. The more you practice a humming breath, the quicker your body will go into a very relaxed state. I always aim for 7 breaths. You can do it for much longer if you want to, but 7 breaths seems to be that sweet spot that just brings you back into your calm, centered state. So keep that in mind. Probably not one for sitting at your desk, but it could be one for you've got home from work, you've parked the car, you don't get out of the car until you do your 7 breaths, and then you face what's inside the front door. It's just finding those pockets of time to self-regulate. And that's where I want to go back to the beginning when I mentioned those 3 most important steps for breath work. Practice when you're calm, practice regularly, and recognize what's happening in your body. Be like so finely tuned to your body that you're like, oh, my hand is tense. That must mean my arm is tense. That must mean my chest is tense. Okay, I'm just going to do some breath work and I'm going to calm the farm. So for me, if I felt physical tension up into my chest, if I felt my neck and shoulders were tight, I would hum that out for a little bit because it's so relaxing, it's so calming, and it's actually exerting some pressure onto that vagus nerve, because you're getting that toning sensation down through the throat, through the center of the chest, which is exactly where that vagus nerve goes. And it's actually telling the vagus nerve, all is well. We can chill out. There's no bear. We can just be in our body. So let me know if you enjoyed that one, because that is one of my favorites. I won't be upset if you don't love it, but I would like to know why. So let me know. So we're coming to the end of this very brief masterclass. There is so much that I can teach you, and just 1 hour is definitely not going to be enough. I do a form of breathwork practice that's called Oxygen Advantage. I also do a similar practice to Wim Hof or holotropic breathing or Tumo breathing. And so what I like to do is teach all different aspects of breathwork so that you can find the one that just really works for you. Sometimes we do really intense, fast, rapid breath work. In yoga, in pranayam, we do Kapalabhati, and that is very vigorous. It's warming for the body. It helps to wake the body up. But it's not always indicated for different times of day, or as a woman, different times of your cycle. So in my breathwork classes, I like to teach safety. I like to teach variety. And most of all, I like to teach people how to become more patient and to learn to tune in to actually be really kind and nurturing to themselves. And so I teach these different styles. From a theoretical point of view, a practical point of view, to help improve your performance. If you have a particular sporting interest, if you just want to be able to change some of your breathing patterns so that you don't upper chest breathe anymore, so that you do breathe into your belly. If you want better sleep, I teach breath work for that. And most of all, for mental clarity, because when you are clear in your mind, you have much more patience, you have much more self-regulation, and you just feel better. So I also teach, if you're interested, breath work for spiritual practices to help shift energy, to remove stuck energy that's in the body, to help shift through trauma in a way that you don't have to talk about your stuff. So there are various ways that I can work with you with different breathing practices. So I've put together a 4-week series. It is starting in just a few weeks in September. And if you're looking for that greater connection to yourself, if you're looking to feel like you've got a toolkit that you can go to, you don't need to use all the tools, but just a few. We'll go through every single week. Once a week, we'll work together and we'll go through some different practices that take you from pacing your breath to understanding the mechanics of your breath and how to really master the art of deep belly breathing. But even to the point where if I was next to you, I wouldn't see you breathing and I wouldn't hear you breathing. So I'll teach you how to do a silent breath. I'll teach you to do very audible breathing. In pranayam, we talk about the ujjayi breath or the ocean breath. And that can be a really great practice breath for when you're doing yoga or when you're looking to calm your body and mind. And maybe you don't want to do some humming, but you could do ujjayi breath. So there's so many different techniques. And in my 4-week series, I'm going to teach you how to just breathe safely, breathe effectively, and maybe even get your breathing rate down to 4 to 6 breaths per minute. So who knows, we might be able to do that. Most of all, I just want you to have that understanding of why you breathe the way you do and how to quickly change it if you need to, and just have this stress busting toolkit that you'll have with you anywhere, anytime. So if you're the kind of person that finds it hard to switch off their brain, you feel like you can become calm, but sometimes that you might be struggling to get into that calm, grounded, clear, present state. Or if you just want to work on your meditation and you want a tool that's actually going to help you to come into a deeper state of meditation, then this 4-week series is really going to be for you. So what did you learn? Those of you that are in the chat, what did you learn that you didn't know tonight? And what's one takeaway that you are going to use from now on? I want to hear from you. And while I'm waiting for some responses, I just really want to reiterate this idea of, breath work can be really intense or it can be super relaxing. It's something that we can pick and choose how we want to feel, and there's a tool that we can use. So we've got a bit of love for the 4-7-8 breath, the triangular breathing, and someone's enjoying the humming breath as well. I'm glad that there's something for everyone, and that's the thing. When we're learning different techniques, you won't actually feel like you want to use all of them. And that's okay. It's like if you were to go to Bunnings because you've got a project and you need to buy some tools, some supplies. You wouldn't actually go and buy everything in the particular section. Just say you're going to paint. You wouldn't go and buy all the kinds of paint. You just buy one particular paint, right? But you know that they're there. Maybe you have an understanding of gloss versus whatever, right? It's the same with this. I'm going to teach you, but you wouldn't actually use them all because they're not always going to be the right tool for the job. And so at least you'll have a really broad toolkit to actually choose from when you do find that you're in those rough seas again. So keep that in mind. Is there any questions before we end? And look at that, I'm 4 minutes early. Miracles happen all the time. Does anyone have any questions or any comments? Oh, thank you. I'm glad that you enjoyed it, and yeah, I'm really glad that you could take the time to practice and come into looking after yourself a little bit more. So I'm going to hit stop on the recording. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to working with you in the future.